Hey, I'm Tim Clark from PC Gamer, and I'm here with Wes Fenton and Tom Marks, also from PC Gamer. We've been trying out a bunch of stuff on Oculus Rift. We've got a Vive in the office, and we're here at GDC in San Francisco, and VR is very much the talk of the show. The sessions are massively oversubscribed. It's all anyone's really discussing. But Wes, I want to know, how do you see the battle shaping up between these two potential VR giants now?
Well, it really feels like VR is here, and we've got the Oculus coming out in just a couple weeks. The Vive is not going to be much longer after that. PlayStation, obviously, more of a ways out. I think this year it's going to feel like the typical console launch where you have camps dividing up in between which one they favor, but it's going to be at a much smaller scale because this stuff is expensive, right? It's $600 for the Oculus, it's $800 for the Vive. I think the interesting thing about what we've seen this week is Oculus has really proven they have a pretty good games lineup. They have 30 games. Some of those are ports from Gear VR. Some of them are kind of short experiences you're going to play, show your family and say, hey, look at this cool thing. You're going to play for a couple hours and that's about it. But then they have some games like Chronos, which is a kind of a Zelda, Dark Souls-y RPG that you're going to play for like 12 hours. There's Lucky's Tale, which I know you really, really liked. So I think Oculus has really proven they have something that's worth spending money on, and the Vive has really amazing hardware that I haven't actually seen too many games for. But I know you guys have actually spent more time playing with the Vive than I have, so give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the Vive stuff we saw today it was more kind of proof of concept, tech demo-y stuff. And the question I have lingering, because for me, if I had to edge it at the moment, I would say I think that the Vive technology, I think, feels more powerful. It's easier to get like a good experience out of it. With Oculus, you have to have it very precisely positioned on your face for it to work. And I actually think despite Oculus being lighter, I find it less comfortable. I ended up with like giant rings on my face quite quickly. But I'm just not sure where's Valve's game for Vive? Like, this is, they're in partnership with HTC. They've shown a ton of cool tech stuff. Why haven't they made a Portal 3 or an equivalent? Like, I don't get it. What's your take, Tom, so far? You've tried both.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't tried the 30 games or however many games from Oculus that you guys tried, but I was really, really impressed with Vive's Fantastic Contraption. And Fantastic Contraption is a game that's going to be coming to Oculus when the Touch comes out. They're building either the room scale version or also a desk scale version of that game where it's smaller and you don't have to walk around the whole room. But that's a game that I played on the Vive Pre in our office that I was like, wow, I could play this game for hours on end for days, right? They've got a huge assortment of puzzles, and it felt like it was the only game, though, that I played out of all the Vive games that we have at the office where I was like, this makes me want this. All the other things that we played were sort of demos.
Something else we tried while we were seeing Valve was their new desktop VR theater experience. I think they said they'd only just named it like a day or so before, so I would expect that to change. But for this, you put the headset on, and you were kind of then in this virtual room with an enormous, the equivalent, I think they said, of like a 200-inch screen. But we were playing like Super Broforce on it, and they were saying that's like applicable to, it will be able to work on any game, 3D and 2D stuff. Do you think that's interesting, or is that just a gimmick?
I think it's a thing to do once you have the headset. Like Oculus is doing the same thing with partnering with Xbox, and you'll be able to play Xbox games in a window, in your headset. It's a reason to use your $600, $800 piece of hardware. I don't think it's a reason to buy that hardware for me. I mean, it is like having a giant screen, but it is not immersive in the way VR is. It doesn't make you forget that you're kind of inside this world. And I don't know. It can help with some motion sickness stuff too, but I think that's going to be one of the things that people realize after they own a VR headset for a month. They don't actually want to put this thing on their head that weighs a couple pounds all the time to do a lot of tasks. I think it's the same with Google Glass. Was a very different kind of technology. It wasn't for gaming, but people realized pretty quickly, like, I don't want to wear this kind of stupid thing on my eyes just to be able to Google Tumblr pages when I'm walking around, or like see kind of bad directions to where I'm going. So I think the same thing is going to happen for gaming. The games that are really, really make use of VR, people are going to love, and that's going to be the reason to put on the headset. And outside of that, I think we're going to need more of those kind of games to keep the headsets relevant. And so that's what I'm impressed by with Oculus. That's what I think Valve and HTC really need to prove with whatever games they're putting out at launch. We don't really know.
Just before we wrap up, like one of the kind of big topics of discussion from people at the show has been like the motion sickness thing. It does seem to affect people very differently. I don't think there's like a uniform. Well, Oculus is more vommy than Vive is. Like, how have you guys found it? Because I found it like I had like a terrible experience on Minecraft a couple of weeks ago, but generally speaking, more recently, I've been mostly fine. But I'm not sure, like you, Tom, I would be willing to like play in VR for like a couple of hours. I think that might fry my brain.
Yeah, in my experience of playing the Vive for a long time, the problem was never, for me, stomach. It was always eyes. My eyes always felt fatigued after more than a 45-minute play session. You know, it felt like I was staring at a screen 2 inches away from my face for 45 minutes, which, go figure.
Which it turns out you literally are.
Yeah, go figure, that gives you headaches. But none of that was very bad for me. I got a little bit of stomach sicky on Oculus's Eagle Flight demo, the Ubisoft game. You know, when you were taking hard turns, it kind of like made my stomach turn a little drop. But like, I'm really glad to say I haven't experienced anything where I felt really nauseous in VR. The worst experience I had was when one of our Vive sensors got bumped and like the whole world got jostled and turned and kind of went sideways, and that gave me a really bad headache. But of course, that wasn't a problem of the technology. That was a problem of the guy who bumped the sensor while I was in VR.
I'm calling it now that it's only a matter of time before someone walks out of an open window in one of these things. On which chilling note, we'll have a ton more VR coverage coming from GDC, so stay tuned to PCGamer.com.